Hello there guys, and welcome to another day in paradise. Those of you who follow me on Twitter and Instagram will be aware that the Ducati 848 is now officially mine. She's registered, she's insured, she's all completely 100% legal. And I know a lot of you have been very interested in just how much of a bargain I got on that bike. Well, today I'm going to tell you how much that bike cost me, and I'm also going to explain why I'm recording this video on the Scrambler and not on the 848. Stay tuned guys. So I am now the legal owner of my first Ducati sports bike. I can't really call this a sports bike, it's a sporty little number, but it's a Scrambler, which basically means it's a cheap monster in a very retro frock. My first Ducati superbike is now mine. I bought her from somebody who had been sent back to the UK from my company and definitely would not be coming back, and I hinted at the time that I got her for an absolute bargain price. But at the time I said I was going to keep that to myself, and I've now kind of changed my mind. Now that it's all sorted and finished, I'm going to share with you how much the bike cost. Just as an idea, if you ever were to buy a Jeep bike in a foreign country, some of the costs you might have to incur. I'm going to break down the cost of making the bike mine and getting her running, and then I'm going to explain why I'm doing this video on the Scrambler and not on the 848. But those of you who've been around Ducatis probably can work out what that is. So we shall start with the initial purchase price. She is a 2009 Ducati 848, just a base model, not an Evo or a Corsa, but she had just over 2,000 miles on her when I bought her, and for the privilege of that I paid £1,600. £1,600 for a Ducati 848. But before you get too angry at me for that, let me just explain the circumstances. I bought a bike that had been sat in a hedge for 6 to 8 months. I bought a bike that had not been run for about 9 months. I bought a bike that had no working battery, had no key, and all of the panels and all of the extra bits that had been removed off of her were in a box. So 1,600 quid. I was taking a punt on a project. Let's be completely clear about that. This was a punt, a gamble on a non-running Ducati project. Now also bear in mind that I am in Saudi Arabia, I am not in the UK, and if I required any parts they were not inevitably going to be easy to get. So I had to try and make do with what was. I gave the bike a bloody good once over and basically decided that it was worth taking a risk on, but there was plenty of money that still needed to be spent on her. So I managed to put all the panels back on. Most of the screws were there and it was reasonably easy to work out where they all went, and I had a complete bike. But I had to wait for the key, which one of my work colleagues who was back in the UK was very kind enough to have the key and the paperwork sent to him in the UK, and then he put it in his luggage and he brought it back for me. The battery that was fitted into her, God knows how old it was. It was a proper decent US battery, but it was dead because of the temperatures out here. Batteries boil and they die. They get very, very weak very, very quickly. So I had to try and source a battery, and luckily I managed to find a very cheap and nasty Chinese battery that fitted and was physically the same size as the one that I'd removed. For 150 Saudi Riyals, which is about £31, I figured if I bought it and I used it for a few weeks until I could get a Yuasa one brought in properly, it would do the job. As it is, apart from the one occasion where I've had to bump start the bike, it hasn't let me down. £1,600 for the bike, £31 for a battery. What else did I need to do? Well, after I did a little bit of road testing after putting her back together, she broke down on me, and if you want to see what that was all about, click the card in the top right hand corner and you can be taken off to that video to explain why she broke down on me. But I had always planned on getting her down to Jeddah for a full service and a cam belt and a bloody good looking over. So the fact that the gearbox seized on me actually wasn't that much of an issue. So I had to pay for a transport service to get the bike down there. Now as it turns out, the Scrambler picked up a puncture at the same time. So I ended up getting both bikes sent down for 650 reals, which I think is about 150 quid off the top of my head. So I had the full service done and I had the cam belt done at a cost of just under 300 quid, which again I think is an absolute bargain. And at that point I went down to Jeddah, and I went down and I collected the superbike and I brought her back home to Taif. But at this stage, yes, the bike was all working, yes, the bike was all up and running, but she wasn't legally mine, and I suppose legally I shouldn't have been riding her on the road. So the next stage was to sort out the documentation faff. Now the problems that I had, the bike didn't belong to me, the bike didn't belong to the previous owner that I'd bought it from, the bike legally belonged to the original owner who bought it back in 2009. He'd decided to leave, and he'd done so in a way that he basically didn't get a proper exit visa, and the bike was still here on his old Ikama. So we had to find a way of getting around that. I have a work colleague who has some family members in some quite influential places, so I enlisted his help and he agreed to try and get it all sorted and transferred over to me. Now first thing we had to do was we had to use a broker to draw up a sale contract to basically say there was something in writing that said that the bike was being sold to me and transferred over to my ownership. So I gave this broker 3,000 Saudi Riyals, which is about £670 off the top of my head, and off he went to go and make it happen. The broker had managed to get it all done, but it had been quite a difficult process involving going to courts and getting the bike released by the courts and so on and so forth. And the broker was asking me for another 3,000 Riyals. I sort of tentatively agreed that I would pay that, but as it turns out I didn't. When I got back and I chatted with my work colleague, it basically transpired that this broker who we'd appointed to try and sort this deal out was actually just trying to extort me for more money. In his own words, I'm a British expat, I'm earning a lot of money and I can afford it. Therefore he felt that he was entitled to try and charge me another 3,000 Riyals. But that did end up meaning that I had a fully running, fully insured, fully legal and immense Ducati 848 all in my name and legal for me to use. How much was the total cost? Well, actually I ended up with that bike for a total cost of about £2,600, 2.6 to 2.7 for a running, working, legally owned Ducati 848 superbike. Even with the additional £1,000 on top, the fact that I got the bike so cheap in the first place, I hope you will all agree that is an absolute bargain. However, let's not forget, it's still a Ducati, and there is a reason why I'm out today on the Scrambler telling you this story and I'm not out on the 848. She's broken again. It's nothing serious this time. It is just a minor issue, but I noticed when I took it down to Jeddah a couple of weekends ago, the speedo was a bit erratic. I'd be sitting here cruising along in traffic doing 65, 70 miles an hour, and as soon as I twisted the throttle, say to overtake something, the speedo would go like 65, 67, 71, 90, 105 miles an hour. Literally just with a little twist of throttle. That's not the actual speed it's doing. The speedo was way all over the place, and there were also periods I had a bit of a panic whilst I was down in Jeddah because the speedo was actually reading 0. I've done a bit of research into it. There is that speed sensor. I have got one ordered from the UK. Again, huge thanks to Craig at Motor Rapido, who has posted that one out to me, and it is on its way from the UK to me here in Saudi, and I will be hopefully getting to enjoy the bike all over again until the Istamara runs out, and that's going to be another 100 reals to get that sorted and a bit of a faff. But £100 for a sensor and she will be back up and running perfect, and she'll be back to her best. I will have 2 fully legal, serviceable and enjoyable bikes for the first time since I bought the 848, actually, because this one's had no insurance and it had the puncture for a while. So it's going to be good to have the choice of vehicle. I'm really looking forward to it. Yes, she's had a Ducati hiccup, but never mind, she's still an astonishing machine. And as I'm sure you'll imagine, I mean, I don't know what the market price for an 848 in that sort of mileage and condition is going to be. She needs some TLC. She's definitely not Concours mint, but she is definitely a usable and enjoyable bike. So there we go, guys. I hope you're not too jealous. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've enjoyed sharing the last 6 months of adventure with that bike, and you can look forward to plenty more videos on her in the future, because when this one comes back to the UK with me, the 848 is all I'm going to have. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to go off and I'm going to try and navigate this traffic through Maison. And I've actually decided that I'm going to go and I'm going to find some new roads I've never ever done before. So look out for that. And in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Masalama. Whoa, what the fuck? They've torn the fucking road up. Damn.